Welcome to the Emerging Lawyer series at the Coffee Corner Show, powered by the Emerging India Forum TIF and a tech partner, Prime Infotech Solution. Theme is litigation, leadership, and law in the digital age. We have with us Rahul Sundaram, partner, India Law LLP, a legal powerhouse whose career bridges the best of both corporate and courtroom worlds. Rahul brings with him a formidable legacy from Amazon, GE, Citi, and Tata, where he led with expertise in litigation, cybercrime, data privacy, antitrust, and international commercial disputes. From tackling legal metrology to pioneering frameworks in AI and FSSA regulations, Rahul's journey offers a front row view into how law keeps pace with technology, governance, and global business. Get ready to dive deep into the mind of a lawyer who thrives at the intersection of innovation and justice. And we also cover the personal side of who Rahul is. So, welcome, Rahul, to this coffee conversation.
Thank you. Thank you, Amir, and always wonderful interacting with you. And thank you for having me over.
Okay. So, let me explain you. There are three rounds: professional journey, personal journey, and a surprise, the rapid fire, where you will be in the hot seat. You have to be witty, fun, and quick. And here's your book, Legal AI 101, as you're into technology, means bridging.
Yeah,
So you
thank
can
you.
go to the book and implement the solutions in your law firm. And wherever you need help, we are there. For example, I'm Amir Virani, host at Coffee Conversation and legal tech evangelist at Prime Infotech Solution, author of 15 books. We help law firms, corporate legal startups, SMEs with world-class technology, software licensing, and tech training solutions. So my first question, Rahul, you have had the unique experience of working with giants like Amazon, GE, Citi before taking the plunge into full-time litigation and partnerships. What prompted that shift? As I've covered, let me complete. I've seen many coffee speakers who have taken the plunge vice versa from law firms to going to corporate legal. But this is the first one I'm seeing from it's like coming to your home.
Absolutely. I think I've been very inquisitive from my days at GE, where I started my legal career. And I've been looking at newer areas, newer opportunities to learn. So, through my career of about 18 years, I've moved from banking to finance to the automobile sector. I moved on to international business, handling uh, parts of Africa, Australia, Europe, and of course, the greater Asian region before I moved into e-commerce. And e-commerce has its own complexities with various product lines and categories that you have and compliances that are required under each of these categories. So there's been a great learning, and I've been interacting with lawyers on the other side across the globe, and so also across jurisdictions, across districts, 700 plus districts in India. And having interacted with them, I think the only logical step for me when I decide to move out of an in-house role is as a counsel advising others, and I think it's been a smooth transition so far.
Wow, beautiful. So, uh, thank you for leading me to my next question. As someone who have handled both internal corporate counsel and now external litigation roles, uh, what changes have you seen in your work role? And that is work role. I'm doing it in two parts. First one is the work role. Second part is your leadership. How has that evolved?
Sure. In terms of a work role, I would say that, as an in-house counsel, you're a sort of an armchair warrior where you're really directing external counsels and getting the work done. As an external counsel, when you look at it inside out, you're really the person who's fighting, and probably you will get directions from the in-house counsel. So that's the shift that I've seen from being an in-house counsel and now while I'm practicing. In terms of change in leadership, I think the leadership perspective, both in-house and outside, remains the same in terms that when you are guiding a team, you'll have to make sure that you are level-headed and you are not overconfident or overriding or giving advices without actually doing your research and your studies. I still, at my age, do about 2 to 3 hours of reading every day. And to make sure that the quality of advice that you give out is, it's not found wanting in any way. I've always been of the belief that your reputation is as good as the last opinion or the last advice that you've given as a counsel. And if you've not been thorough and if you've been giving advice on general knowledge, it will affect your reputation. You would have given hundreds of opinions which are excellent quality, but that one opinion will, the perceptions will definitely change, and you have to be on your toes always, always learning and leading from the front.
Wow. Okay. Let's go back to your days at Amazon. How did your time at Amazon shape your approach to legal risk, especially in sectors like e-commerce, data privacy, and IP?
Well, e-commerce was when I entered the arena. There was a lot of ambiguity in terms of the FDI regulations which were there. There were restrictions on FDI in retailing, and then the thin line of what is an ITES service, IT-enabled service, which a marketplace is, and what can Amazon do, what it cannot do. And e-commerce, like I said, has various categories and various compliances which are there. If you're selling a television, you'll have to make sure that it is, the components and the television is BIS certified. You might have a lot of third-party vendors on the platform that might not be compliant. And of course, you will have to make sure that as an intermediary, you have the safe harbor defenses that come to play, and you have to make sure that rogue sellers do not, or regulators do not impede you in cases where you have a safe harbor defense. And as Amazon being an intermediary, that's something which I learned early in life. Um, uh, but apart from that, you had a lot of issues around competition law that were there, evolving, predominantly coming from the evolving legislation in Europe and America and elsewhere, where CCI was also gaining a lot of knowledge from there. We had issues of labor compliances, particularly given the large gig economy which was there, and this was not really very organized. And there were a lot of unions that were coming up. So it was a time which was very challenging. In terms of data privacy, yes, we were, at a time where the laws were not very well evolved. But having worked with Amazon, which was present across territories, it was a good exposure in terms of what the data we used for, do we have the consent, purpose limitation. All that is something which we kept in mind, even outside of the regulatory regime, though they was strictly not required in India, but we made sure that the policies were such that it respected international laws, and we try to build it up. And I think with DPDP coming in, most of those provisions will seamlessly dovetail into the process.
Wow,
In terms of
beautiful.
IPR, yes, the third part of your question, I would say that there were a lot of sellers that were infringing upon the trademarks and copyright, and the intermediary defense was something that we relied on heavily. There were also issues around resale of products where companies, particularly the some of the marketeers that would put restriction on second sale, um, uh, products which were imported into India, could those be sold here? Domain name sort of disputes which came on. It was interesting, and there was a lot of learning that was there around the branding, the trademark, and copyright issues that emerged.
Wow, beautiful. Okay, let's go memory down the lane. Could you share a case, a moment in your career that tested your legal strategy the most while you were in-house counsel?
Yeah, I think a lot of legal strategies that we tried and tested, but I think one of the earliest legal strategies when I was working with a non-banking finance company, and all we, in terms of legal recoveries, had was about the 138, the Negotiable Instrument Act, which makes bouncing of a check an offense. So my boss at that time, told me, legal is just tariq pe tariq, and nothing really works. And he wanted me to look at legislation that at that time was evolving and look at newer areas where we could file cases against customers for effective and efficient sort of recoveries. So that's where I think, and I'm talking about the early 2000s, where we looked at the Arbitration Conciliation Act 1996, where we looked at initiating claims before the arbitral tribunals that we set up. And of course, also under the Legal Service Authorities Act, where there was discretion for the finance companies to settle with the customers. We would refer cases to Lok Adalat. And I remember having traveled across various districts, interacting with the member secretaries, with local councils, setting up these local adalats, and of course, conciliation. So I think in terms of strategy, that really changed. And once we started going that route, we had almost all banks and finance companies that are into arbitrations, conciliations, and local. But I think when we started off, it had a certain novelty, and it was fun implementing it.
Okay, that was your in-house. Let's
Yes.
go to your present role as a litigation lawyer. What's been the most challenging case and how did you navigate it?
Challenges in terms of court litigation are the IBC matters, where there is an interplay between the SURFACE Act, the Insolvency and Bankruptcy Act, and let's say the MSME Act. So I have advised some banks on issues that relate to, let's say, a Section 94 application that has been moved by a director of a company who claims to be a director of a company, but is not really, and seeking a moratorium and a stay of SURFACE proceedings that have been there. So this is one area that we've been able to go to court and get some decisions there, and also guiding clients is always helpful, when the situations are tricky and require out of the box thinking. I can give you many more examples there, but be it under the food laws, a lot of innovation, a lot of strategic thinking that we've been able to push through at India Law, which is helping clients tremendously.
Wow. So let's go to the trending topic of AI. With increasing reliance on AI in legal tech and decision making, how do you see AI transforming litigation or dispute resolution in India?
I think most of the lawyers are jumping on the bandwagon, and definitely I know of lawyers that are uh, uh, finding a lot of help with legal research, and with the kind of case laws and precedents that one has to look at to support their cases. This is extremely helpful. Of course, there is a lot of hallucination, and that's where a smart lawyer will come in, and of course with drafting. But if you look at international trends, I've heard that in China you have special courts that are actually getting into adjudication through AI. And I think that should be the next level of evolution, and where petty disputes, and China and also other countries which are very actively looking at it, and it will be very interesting to study those developments and see how, if at all, it would come to India, because we still depend on human intelligence to decide on cases and to be fair. But I would, would be more adventurous to say that you would get better justice when you have AI deciding, where you would have other factors that tend to play in the minds of judges today that would be kept out, certain prejudices or influences that tend to play on the minds of judges that would come out, and you would have AI deciding matters absolutely in keeping with case laws, precedents that are there, and the law which is laid down by the parliament.
Wow, beautiful. So, Rahul, who has been your mentor or influenced you from the legal world?
I've had a lot of mentors, and I would do grave injustice in case I were to take names. But each of the bosses that I've worked with, be it GE, be it Tata Motors, be it Tata Motor Finance, be it Amazon, each has played a significant role in mentoring me. And it is an ever learning process. If I say that, I've got 18 years and I'm the expert, I'm not. I've even learned from my juniors who uh, have worked in areas which are evolving and have a better sense and knowledge than I would. And mentoring, I think, is a daily process, and I keep learning. I even keep learning from my kids. So I think, particularly for legal, it's something which is absolutely essential and helps you grow.
Wow. So, this was you receiving mentorship. Now, as you have been on the both sides, in-house and now at a law firm, how do you see yourself as a mentor?
As a mentor, I think you must reduce the learning curve. Something which I've taken 18 years to learn. My mentee should learn in let's say 5 minutes if I can. If I can, it's like learning from a textbook or from a guidebook. The guidebook can teach you in a much shorter time, and I think that's the role of a mentor, to make sure that you have the kind of confidence and backing, whatever acts that you do, that somebody's out there who's got your back, and who's ready to support you emotionally, from a knowledge basis, and also help evolve the person. So I think those are the two pronged sort of strategies that you would have. One is knowledge enhancement, reducing the learning curve, and giving them emotional and professional support that one requires to sort of springboard onto the way of success.
Wow. So, Rahul, how do you approach learning when the legal landscape, especially in areas like data protection, antitrust, is shifting so quickly?
I think all these areas, particularly in India, if you look at the competition law or let's say data privacy, what I've seen is that the evolution happens from Europe and America, and most of these laws have their bearing in the UNICITRAL models. The international. The United Nations, which creates a model, which is then copied, and particularly if you look at competition law, these are based on economic concepts that are where there are precedents, and where the law evolves from these concepts. And particularly when you look at e-commerce and issues around competition, you will find them happening in Europe. You will find them happening in Japan, Germany, and the US, that will be there. So once you've seen the trend, that's exactly what will happen in India. If not immediately, you wait for 6 months, a year, you will have similar complaints that are filed, and abuse of dominance, be it the various aspects that are there under the competition law. You'll have similar line of complaints that are happening. And if you want to stay on top, I think you will have to look at the international scenario, learn from there, and there's no better way for adapting. The same is the position for the privacy laws. If you look at GDPR, and you've seen what are the kind of issues in terms of litigation, or in terms of regulatory compliances that come. Those are pretty standard sort of issues that have been for quite some time, at least 15, 20 years. These are more evolved jurisdictions that have seen it. And they've been there before. And I think there's a lot of learning that comes from there, and how the law has evolved there.
Wow. So, my last question, what advice would you give to young lawyers, since you have experience on both sides, entering the world of corporate legal or being a litigation lawyer?
I think the young lawyers should, you know, like I said, probably make up their mind, do they want to be armchair warriors or the actual warriors? So in case they want to be armchair warriors, they should be in-house counsels but again, you cannot advise a counsel, external counsel, unless you know the law. So you have
Hmm.
to be thorough on both sides. You cannot guide the lawyer, or you cannot handle 3,000 cases that you will have in your kitty without actually knowing the law, or how the cases have been evolving, or how the legislation has been evolving, or how the courts have been deciding matters. So both sides are tough. And unless and until you're committed to hard work and putting in long hours of research, I think you should not risk a career in legal, in-house or otherwise.
Wow. So let's go to the next round and understand Rahul as a person. Tell us about your family and your formative years.
My family consists of two kids. My daughter's in first year law school, so she would be the second generation. My son's in class 10th and is not much interested in law. And formative years, I've been born and brought up in Delhi, where you know uh, during the 70s and the 80s, we went through the economic reforms, and I got advantage of the changes that were there in the economy, and it was a good um, wave that took us very far. So I'm part of that generation that saw advantages of multinationals coming into India, evolving laws like the arbitration, the competition law. We've been there through all of that while it was evolving.
Wow. Okay. So Rahul, what helps you to unwind after a long day?
You see, I must get my, like I said, 2 to 3 hours of reading every day. So being in Bombay, I don't drive. So I take the City Flow bus that gives me a comfortable 2 hours back and forth. So what I would not want to strain my eyes reading in the bus. So, I have apps now, I've gone high tech where I have apps that will read out judgments to me over that 4 hour window that I get in a day. And that helps me summarize some of these judgments during the day, and get them published, and also enhance my knowledge. And of course, while you're dealing with clients, unless until you know the latest in a particular area, you might not be in the contention at all. So that's something which helps me relax and unwind, gets me uh, to reading how the courts are interpreting legal provisions, and the judgments that are there across various laws.
Wow. So Rahul, what's one memory from your uh, childhood days that still makes you smile? Should I repeat the question again?
Yes, please. I will get your question, but I'm just trying to pinpoint.
Okay.
I didn't come
You're going
prepared for
memory
this.
down the lane as a young Rahul.
Yes. So I think the first job um, that I had, uh, and the first assignment that I got, was when my boss told me that they were not able to recover from an automobiles dealer, where we had funded for a Opel Astra at that time. It was 6 lakhs, and huge amount. I'm talking about the early 2000s, and the customer. The borrower for the company had driven away with the car, and the car was not registered, and there was no way that we could recover that car, and it was a total write-off. And the first assignment that I had got was to recover that 6 lakhs. There is no customer, there is no borrower, and the only resort that we could have was with the dealer. And he had, one of the terms in the agreement was that he should not release the vehicle, which is financed by the NBFC that I was working for at that time, without registering the vehicle. And that was one area where I think the first arbitration that we had started, and we were able to recover. And of course, we filed a criminal case as well, and we were able to recover the entire 6 lakhs odd within the first month of initiating that process where the dealer came up and he said that he would want to settle and close it. And the response that I got from the management was, something that got a smile. Not in my wildest dreams, I thought that we would be able to recover that money, and it really did happen. So miracles do happen when you put in the right initiative. You've got a right strategy legally. You can definitely give results and get a smile on your face and on the face of your client.
Beautiful. So, Rahul, are there any hobbies or passions outside law that you actively pursue?
Sure. Being a chronic diabetic, the hobby and a compulsion, if you may, is to walk at least 10 kilometers in a day. And that's one of the reasons why I also take the bus is because, I make sure that I walk two bus stands, get off at a distance from my house and walk uh, and make sure that I complete 10 kilometers in a day. I wake up at 5 in the morning every day and walk. So anything that I'm stressed and compulsive about is my walking routine and whatever learned exercise that I can get during the day.
Wow. Suppose you're 1 week away from work, zero work policy. What would you do and why?
Hey, I would go to Europe and I would want to study the AI law in Europe. And this is one of probably the only jurisdiction which has a AI regulation
Yeah.
which is in place. Of course, it's some time away before it's actually implemented. But I would want to sort of go there and work with uh, some scholars there and really learn up what's happening there. And of course, when you read it here and when you go down to Europe and discuss it with the scholars there, it would give us a better perspective and better understanding. And if it's free of cost, why not? Why not Europe?
Okay. Uh, so, Rahul, if your friends were to describe you in 3 words, what would it be?
Well, I would say that number one is young. Because what I tell them is I'm 16 till I die, and age is just a number, and young, active, and always with a strategy. So if these are three or four words that they would want to describe me as young, active, and full of with a strategy in place.
Wow. So, what's that book or movie that has influenced you?
Book would be the law books that I read. To be honest, though I've done my master's in English literature, I stopped reading literature way back. And this has pretty much been books on labor law by H.L. Kumar, on domestic inquiries that I've read cover to cover and probably 10 times. Uh, so definitely, any book on labor law by H.L. Kumar is what really interests me and keeps me glued on. But apart from that, I'm sorry, I have not watched a film in a long time, and I have not read anything apart from law books again in a long time, or probably international commercial arbitration books on arbitrations that even domestic arbitrations that interest me and that I read regularly.
Okay. So, what are your plans for 2025 personally and professionally, Rahul?
The plans are to get into evolving areas of law, particularly AI, data privacy, competition aspects, where the Competition Commission is also getting into AI, and I think there is a market study that has been initiated. Look forward to that. And I think the focus would be to unlearn and learn again, particularly the labor codes that are coming in, uh, particularly, with the increased gig economy, there is a lot of focus now, even as far as the government is concerned, on social security and wages and insurance and things like that. And I think with the new regulations coming in, we can see the Karnataka gig regulations that have come out, the law that's come out, and if that's anything to go by, I think it will be very, very remarkable or a spectacular area that would evolve in the coming years, particularly when more and more youth are, because of the downturn in economic conditions, are turning towards the gig economy.
Wow. So my last one is a googly one. Describe Rahul in one line.
That's a very interesting question. In one line, I would then again go back to the earlier answer. Young.
No,
And,
that was from your friend's viewpoint. This is
okay.
from your viewpoint.
Okay. From my viewpoint, I would say that inquisitive, um, learning, and applying.
Wow.
So, I want to be inquisitive about new laws. Want to
Correct.
be learning and not guessing or uh, probably depending on knowledge which is there outside of the books. So, inquisitive being learning and applying those in actual life. That would
Wow.
describe me.
Okay. So let's put in the hot seat, the rapid. Your go-to comfort food.
What would be chole bhature?
Corporate law or courtroom drama.
Courtroom drama.
E-filings or physical court visits.
E-filing any day.
Strategy or spontaneity in life.
Strategy.
One legal myth you wish people would stop believing.
That the courts are unpredictable.
Wow. Your favorite color.
I would say blue.
Best piece of advice received.
Stop smoking.
Your dream travel place.
Would be Seattle in America.
Wow. Coffee or cutting chai during a long day at work.
Cutting chai.
Okay, you did well. Let's just toast. So you did well. And here's a book
Thank
which will be
you.
autographed and sent to you. So,
Wow. Thank you
friends,
so much.
it was a lovely conversation with Rahul Sundaram, who had a good number of your experience being at what do you say, global giants in the in-house counsel, and now a litigation partner. So this is what a coffee speakers bring about. Okay, he has an urge to learn new things, and with his walking, he's learning all the time. So he has got so many apps which give him all the transcripts and everything. So watch this episode. All those legal professionals who want to, what do you say, migrate from in-house to a law firm role. This episode, Rahul will take you to the process steps. So subscribe to Coffee Corner Show, where there are 450 plus coffee speakers sharing their journeys, professional, personal. And if you want to be featured like Rahul, visit our website, the Emerging India Forum, or our LinkedIn page, or connect with our coffee speakers to invite you to have coffee conversations. Thank you. Take care.